Live picture at Grant Park in downtown Chicago. The excitement building. We're 12 minutes away from the top of the hour when we'll have news of additional closings on the West Coast. Pat Buchanan is here, MSNBC analyst, is joining our conversation here. Pat, one of the things that Barack Obama has to be thinking about is not just winning at this stage, but governing. And to that extent, does he look back at the Bush years and hope for not just victory, but resounding victory as he looks ahead to governing?
Barack Obama's got some very serious problems ahead of him. The market hopefully has hit its bottom, but we're all looking, everyone's talking about a 1 year of recession. He's really got a $1 trillion deficit looking him in the face, and I do believe Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats in the House, they've got a 2-year window to get done an awful lot of what they want to get done.
Right.
And I think he's going to have to try to go down the center of the road because he's looking at 8 years. But, you know, David, one person who's on my mind right now is John McCain. You know, I'm not a McCain man in the Republican Party, but here's a guy who's got to have been dealt one of the worst hands in history. His president's at 25%, dragging him down. 80% think the country's on the wrong course. We heard from Ann Curry, 93% think the economy is lousy. And he's running ahead on September 15th, and he runs into a 5,000-point drop in the Dow. And I think that's what sunk him, and that's got to be very much on his mind right now.
Pat, I have to say that I think that John McCain deserves some credit for his own loss, for having run a campaign that didn't take account of any of those things. He did have the opportunity, maybe more than any other Republican in the party who could have gotten this nomination. He had the opportunity to run against George W. Bush. It didn't seem to occur to him until the final debate. It's the first time he distanced himself from Bush. He could have run against Bush. He could have run as a Republican who had some ideas on the economy rather than just a sense of urgency without any real seemingly reasonable outlet for expressing his concerns. I mean, I think that, yeah, he was dealt a bad hand, but he did run an atrociously bad campaign.
Well, look, I'm not going to defend his campaign. I agree with you on a lot of that, rather than pile on him tonight, but I disagree with you really emphatically, Rachel, that he could have run against George W. Bush. First, you cannot run against the leader of your party, who is still hugely popular with 2/3 of the party. Secondly, there is truth in Barack Obama's statement that he agreed with George Bush 90% of the time. He was for the war. He's for the Afghanistan policy. He's for getting tough with Russia. He embraced the tax cuts. He supported the judges. I mean, was he against prescription drugs? So he did endorse him, I think, and you cannot run against the president of your own party with the economy down and expect to win. I think he did the best job there he could. I do agree there's a lot of things he could have done differently and maybe have won, but I think the market killed him.
I think that the most important story tonight that we will see is that 17% of white voters, or the margin by which George Bush beat John Kerry among white voters was 17 points. And if the exit polls are to be believed tonight, Barack Obama will have carried white voters by 10 points. And as much as this is a historic election about race and about diversity in this country, we have ultimately turned out to be a kind of country that wants to have a different relationship between the diversity that we've always had in our population and the lack of diversity in our government.
Well, I disagree with you. I don't think he's going to carry white voters by 10 points. Otherwise, he's going to have a gigantic landslide because he's carrying African Americans by, 20-1 and Hispanics by 2-1. I'll tell you what he's carrying. He's carrying white voters. He's carrying white voters who are college graduates. There's a reason for that, Rachel. They got 401ks. They got pension plans. They got IRAs. That is where the bottom dropped out of McCain. The investor class, that was a base of the Republican Party, has abandoned him because of what happened to the market.